starting now.
Tonight on the Black Channel, the race is on for who will be the spiritual heir to Donald Trump, and one man in particular is determined to stake his claim. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically Black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, we are going to be discussing a man that I've been warning people about for the longest time. I have been warning repeatedly. I have been sounding the alarms since the very, very beginning. I've been sounding the alarm ever since I saw this faux Latino thing. I've been sounding the alarm ever since the very beginning. And he has not let me down. And in the last 2 years in particular, but specifically since the pandemic started, there was one man who made it very, very clear that he saw Donald Trump, as far as he was concerned, Trump is no longer really a huge factor anymore, but that there is this giant chasm, this giant vacuum that is simply waiting for somebody who can be like Trump, just not nearly as not quite as unpalatable. As bad as Trump, just with the volume a little bit down some. That man is none other than Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis has been on nothing short, nothing less, nothing other than a never-ending campaign at every single stop along the way to make it very, very clear that he is to the right of Donald Trump. And if you invite Donald Trump to Thanksgiving dinner, he'll probably be a more civil guest than DeSantis is. He is want to make it very, very clear that he is the spiritual heir. He has been campaigning ever since, and you've watched as there's been nothing but a steady, relentless drumbeat busting you upside the head about this guy. He went to war about a number of different things, but he really staked his claim on the critical race theory and the rewriting of American history, and particularly to protect white people in America from little things like history, facts, truth, reality, all those kind of things right there. So he's made it his cause to be able to do so. But then there comes a moment. There comes a moment where things crystallize. There comes a moment where you listen to hear what somebody has to say, and they define for you exactly who they are. And as far as that is concerned with DeSantis, you'll all remember years ago, I was actually done making documentaries. I was done. I was through with it. After Gentrified, I was pretty much like, yeah, I've said everything I need to say. And then I was sitting in a hotel somewhere, actually not terribly far from where I am now, as a matter of fact. And I was passing by on the monitors, and I saw Charlottesville. And I'm standing there in front of the front desk clerks. They were some gentlemen, I think, from India, of East Indian descent. And I'm sitting there taking a look at these huge monitors on the wall. And I'm seeing what's happening in Charlottesville, and then you're seeing the carnage, and you're seeing the white supremacists on the march. And that's when I saw Donald Trump's face on the TV. And they were like, we got some remarks from the President of the United States. And you sat there and heard the President of the United States say, if we allow them to take down Robert E. Lee, who is next? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. You sat there and saw Donald Trump make a direct connection between the Confederates and the founding fathers, indicating that he understood perfectly well what the stakes were and what it was really about. It's not about the Confederates, it is about white supremacy. And when I saw that, I said, there it is. My God, this is the first sitting president certainly in modern history, but to my recollection since the Civil War, who made a direct connection between the legitimacy of the Confederacy and the founding fathers of America. I said he is defending white supremacy in no uncertain terms. And from that day forward, I knew that Trump's days in the White House would be numbered, so I better hurry up and make a documentary here because he ain't going to be there very much longer. However, he is daring to mainstream it. He's daring to mainstream it. And had he been a little more palatable, he could have gotten reelected. Well, Ron DeSantis has been sitting down there in Florida. As you know, Florida is a key swing state. Ron DeSantis, especially for presidential elections, is a key swing state. And Ron DeSantis has been sitting down there and he's been watching it. He's been watching it. He's been watching. He's been waiting in the wings. And since Trump receded from public view after leaving the White House, loudly leaving the White House, but after leaving, and DeSantis has been like, you know what? There's a lane open for me now. There's a lane open for me. I'm more cogent. I'm more concise. I've got more clarity than Trump, and I'm a better speaker. Yeah, there's a lane open for the far right. And the recent controversy with Joe Rogan, people, if you're not listening to the new black media, you're so damn far behind. If you want to be ahead of the events, you got to be right here. When I saw this, and I was like, there it is. This is the Charlottesville moment. This is where you show exactly who you are because you believe that you can push this in the mainstream and you believe that you can push this into the national consciousness and make it palatable. And make no mistake about it, there is an audience out there that is perfectly open to this kind of thing. Absolutely there is. There's certainly an audience that is. There's certainly an audience that is receptive to it. And understand something, DeSantis isn't saying this because he was bored. He's saying this because he wants to make a very clear contrast. This is something that you saw happen really since the 80s. Lee Atwater and Karl Rove, they thought that basically what they were about was polarization. It wasn't enough to try to convince people that they should vote for your candidate. You needed to make a clear, stark contrast between yourself and your political opponents. And that's what DeSantis is doing now. He's making a clear contrast between him and everybody else. And make no mistake about it, right now, as we sit here listening, I know there's been a lot of people talking about Trump running again in 2024. I am telling you that this man is the one you need to be watching. This man is clearly running for the presidency. And now that they knocked off Cuomo up there in New York for the Democrats, this man believes that the time has never been better. The lane is wide open for him. At the very least, you are going to see DeSantis try to get mobbed up with Trump at the very least. You'll see DeSantis want to be his vice presidential running mate at the very least. Although I don't really think that's what DeSantis wants. I think DeSantis believes that he can muscle Trump out of the way because he's like, if you got beat in 2020, it won't be too hard to beat you again. It won't be too hard to beat you again. So just understand, DeSantis is going to play behind the scenes. Eventually, you're going to hear Trump start saying negative things about DeSantis when it becomes clear that DeSantis is trying to muscle his way in and that he's like, hey, why should I take the second seat when I can take the throne? So let's be very clear what that's about. Starting this campaign against critical race theory was really just to give himself the ability to show up on Fox News on a regular basis. But now he has weighed in hip deep, neck deep into the racial culture wars that white supremacy has been waging against black people and making it very clear now where he stands. This is a shot across black people's bow in no uncertain terms. No uncertain terms. Now, if you'll remember, a decade ago, I was warning you all. I warned you all over a decade ago that going into the 2010s and beyond, we were going to witness a fundamental shift in American politics. Don't listen to any dumbasses out there trying to tell you what's happening before then. No, it wasn't. They ran Dr. Laura Schlesinger off the radio for that. Remember, people, they ran Dr. Laura Schlesinger off the radio for that. Ran Michael Richards out of Hollywood for that. Remember? That was what they were doing then. Back then, if you said nigger about us, oh, that was it. That was it. So don't let some dumbasses tell you they've been doing that. No, they were not. No, they were not. Back then, you could not do that. And you would figure with the white population going lower and the black population seemingly holding stable there, you would think in these times here where they talk about political correctness and being woke, you would think to yourselves that the situation is actually more tenuous for white supremacists, and I tell you it's even less so. I warned you that you were going to see them openly using the word nigger, and they would still be there. Dog the Bounty Hunter, Joe Rogan, we can go down the list. We can go down the list. And they're still there now. This constitutes a fundamental change in the way in which these matters have been handled before. And I predicted it a decade ago that going forward, chat when you write Hulk Hogan, we can go down the list. I predicted that there would be a fundamental change in the way in which that would be treated, and they would no longer be removed anymore. They'll just bury them for a few weeks and then bring them back again. I said that over a decade ago. And it has come to pass exactly the way I said it would come to pass. Now it's no longer even an issue like that. And Joe Rogan is their beachhead. The reason why it is so important for them to back Joe Rogan is so if they can use this battering ram through the front door, what I tell you is this time Joe Rogan said it and apologized for it, and he still has his position. Next time, the next person is going to say it, not apologize for it, and keep their position. And remember, white supremacy plays both sides of the argument, but it also plays the long game. And that's what you're witnessing right now. They are setting the pieces in place so that the next major figure will be able to say these kind of things, not apologize for it, and keep their position. And this is where it's at. Now, what I want to do for you here is for the article from Salon. I want to read some of the article here for you because I want you to understand what they were talking about, he was saying here, so that you have some clarity and some context for this. Trump, DeSantis say Joe Rogan shouldn't apologize for using N-word repeatedly. Conservatives are urging the massively popular podcaster Joe Rogan, who has come under fire over COVID-19 misinformation and his prolific past of use of the N-word, not to apologize, claiming that any criticism is an attempt by the left to silence free speech. The current Rogan controversy began in earnest last month when rock legend Neil Young demanded that all his music be removed from Spotify, which has an exclusive contract with Rogan, over the podcaster's promotion of vaccine misinformation. Now, to be clear here, like I say, that is where those things started, and this is... Don't think for a moment that your so-called liberal media is concerned about black people. They absolutely are not. What they're concerned about is propping up Biden. And so being able to push the vaccine mandates and whatnot is their way of backing Biden. So just understand what that's really about. That is in no way productive or helpful to black people. It's not. They don't care about black people at all. The only thing they're really concerned about is, okay, how does this help our buddy Biden to be able to exercise power over everybody else? But it's not about us. Remember that. They go on to say, last week, Rogan again came under fire after old videos surfaced of the podcaster repeatedly using the N-word in roughly 90 episodes, which Spotify has since deleted. Well, did you all notice they didn't say anything about India Ari there, by the way? Did you notice they didn't say that? So they mentioned Neil Young. They mentioned those videos coming up, but they didn't mention India Ari. Yeah. Kind of makes her feel bad there, huh? Yeah. Amazing. Using the N-word in roughly 70 episodes, which Spotify has since deleted. Days later, Rogan apologized and acknowledged that it's, quote, not my word to use. I am well aware of that now, but for years I used it in that manner, he said over Instagram. I never used it to be racist because I'm not racist. Never used it to be racist because I'm not racist. Interesting. Never used it to be racist. I'm not racist. Well, why don't we go ahead and take a little bit of a look into that, shall we? In particular here, I just want to take a look at the video itself. I don't want to do a whole lot beyond that. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the video itself because I'm interested in seeing a few things here. I'd like to go ahead and see a few things if we could. So, yeah, there it is. There's the video itself there. All right, let's move this over a little bit and go ahead and make that out here. And there's Joe Rogan's Instagram where he had the video there and he was talking on that. So, Rogan's out there doing his thing.
He's a cardiologist, and he is the most published physician in his field in history. Dr. Robert Malone owns 9 patents on the creation of mRNA vaccine technology.
Okay, so he's starting off about vaccines there. All right, later
I think that I've done that I could do better is have more experts with differing opinions.
Glad to hear that. Well, why don't we take a look at something here? Because I want you to understand when you're talking about what the media cares about in this regard, when you're talking about what the media is concerned about, think about what they're actually concerned about, because you're looking at millions of views and they're talking about vaccines. They're talking about that. What they're not talking about is whether or not this is a long-standing record of anything against Black people. And there's a reason why that is important. It is important because if you're ignoring the 9,000-pound elephant in the room, then you're going to naturally have to overlook the code speak. Now, I've warned you all for decades here, over a decade from this microphone, that if you are expecting them to come out and start yelling nigger, nigger, nigger at you, that's not going to occur. No one's going to come out and wave the banner for white supremacy. As a matter of fact, they would like you to stop using that word altogether. What they're interested in you doing is pretending it doesn't exist. That is all. So even when you are confronted by absolute proof of it, you are still to respond that it doesn't exist. It's not there. So you end up talking about other things. You end up discussing other things. That's the problem. You end up talking about everything except what you came there for. And where Black people are concerned, that's generally what happens with us. The conversation turns into everything except what we showed up for. So Joe Rogan can have Gavin McInnes on. Joe Rogan can have Alex Jones on. Joe Rogan can have Planet of the Apes references to Black people. Joe Rogan can have so-called scientists on there talking about how Black people possess an extra genetic trait that makes us more aggressive. And he's just like, oh, really? Wow. Oh, really? Wowzers. So the media wants you to focus on vaccines. Meanwhile, don't focus on the part that actually references you. Don't focus on that at all. So he can sit here and make videos talking about experts and this, that, and the other. But what they're not going to be discussing is, by the way, what about black folk, Joe? What about them? What about that? What about that? You can learn a whole lot from somebody. I will tell you, you can learn a whole lot from people by their Instagram too, by the way. You can learn a whole lot about them. Jason, what do you mean by that? When you take a look at his Instagram account too, by the way, I couldn't help but notice something. So here he is talking about vaccines and whatnot, and he's babbling about that. And then just couldn't help but notice this myself. Like the next day, he's all concerned about apes again. The next day. White supremacists have a sense of humor, don't you think? Okay. I'm sure Silly Willie D will be here to explain that away for everybody. Yeah, there's a reason for that. What they need is somebody who can go out there and go do that first, and then they'll go ahead and figure out how to explain it away and tell you, oh, you just have the wrong idea about it. You just have the wrong thoughts about it. That's all. If you could be a little more straightened out about it, if you could be a little more enlightened, if you could understand a little bit more, well, then things will be different. They're not the ones who need to alter what they're doing. You're the one who needs to understand where you're wrong at. And if you could just figure out where you're wrong at, then you would know why you're bad. That would come together a little bit better for you, wouldn't it? So when you see Ron DeSantis running around promoting this, when you see him sitting up here defending it, just understand what you're actually seeing. It is not accidental. It's not accidental. Not at all. Now, there are some other folks who actually don't quite understand. And I'm going to bring this back here to Ron DeSantis. But before I do, I just want you to see exactly what I mean here, because there are some folks who are not going to quite get it. But that's okay too. I want you all to be clear on exactly what you're seeing, so that going forward, you won't sit here and be messed up about it. Just be aware of what you're actually seeing, because you're going to see some familiar names. You're going to see a number of familiar names, and it shouldn't surprise you, because we've mentioned it before, and we keep mentioning it, and we keep talking about it. And there's a reason why we keep doing so, because these names keep coming up over and over and over again, and they're going to continue coming up over and over and over again. And it's not by accident. What I want to do here is I wanted to start with the vaccine video first, and then with the other one here that was done a little while ago.
Regretful and shameful. Hello, friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years. But for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. Like that context was part of the clip we were talking about Red Fox, how Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s. Now times have changed so much since then. Or about how Richard Pryor used it as one of the titles of one of his albums. Or I was quoting a Lenny Bruce bit, or I was quoting a Paul Mooney bit, or I was talking about how Quentin Tarantino used it repeatedly. And
there you go. There you go. All right, now Joe is going to sit here and keep explaining for a minute, but what I really want to do is take a look here. If you actually went to the video itself, and I'm going to bring this back to DeSantis here. You actually go to the video itself, and what you see is, oh boy, Chef Rush. Well, yeah, boy. Oh, Chef Rush, huh? All right, that didn't take very damn long for that train to show up, did it? Yeah, boy, I'm telling you, they rolled their capes up. All right. Well, I'm sure it's not that bad there, boy. It's a number of folks here who, like I say, they saw their moment. Yes, I know about Israel Adesanya also. Israel Adesanya, a bunch of folks who are backing him. Got to tell you about some of these immigrants. Got to tell you about some of them. You got to keep your eyes and ears open. Just saying. Oh, well, you take a look there. Hennessy Performance. Oh, boy. Would you like to get your cars souped up? Yeah, if you want to know why you can't take Rogan down, it's because the economy is behind him. Yeah, boy, the economy is behind him there. Yeah, man. Oh, well. Yeah, this you want to know why it is folks think you're a white supremacist, Joe? Yeah, there you all right. Oh, here goes that cigar guy. Crystal and Cigar, were they on the hill? Yeah, there they are. Absolutely. There it is. No problem. Well, somebody here had a little bit of sense. Not sure if they got a lot more, but they had a little bit of sense there. Oh, looky, Michaela Peterson, the daughter of Jordan Peterson, who your black winosphere, manosphere clowns who have spent the last couple of years basically bowing at the altar and kissing the feet of Jordan Peterson. Yeah, there goes his daughter, single mom there, by the way, and don't worry, they'll still be sucking up to her too. So don't worry, they don't mind that. They don't mind that. Not at all. Yet another one there. Yeah, there you go, boy. I'm telling you. They're doing the most. They start performing. And then, of course, nothing would be complete without these two jackasses, now would it? Nothing would be complete without them. Not at all. Not at all.
If it can fit.
Oh, what do you know? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Let's hear for you, YouTube, Red Pill, Winosphere, community and whatnot. When I've warned y'all for years now that they're basically the black wannabes of the white red pill community. You all wanted to know what I thought. Yeah, all of them are sitting there trying to get a pat on the head. They're all hoping they can get a guest spot. They're hoping this is how far they'll go to sell what little bit of a soul they have. What little bit of a soul that they think they have. Yeah, they're all lined up to see if they can sell it. So, yeah. Oh, y'all don't really want to go through the comments like you should. You really don't want to go through the exhaustively. You'll see more names in there and whatnot. You'll see more names in there. If you just keep going, you'll see more names.
She wasn't chewing on her arm. She was leaning.
Another person here, he's hoping somebody will notice he exists. He got 140 followers, but by the way, this is out of control. I'm black, and I've been a little in the very beginning. All right. There you go. First, sir, as a black man in America, and that doesn't mean he's a black man from America, but all right, as a black man in America, yes, have you. All right. I watched you since I was a child. I want you all to understand the diabolical effect of that. Now, I want to stop on this one in particular. If you'll notice here, first, sir, as a black man in America, and yes, I feel the latter must be said just so the world can get the context of what's happening. Second, I know I don't know you personally, white daddy, but I have watched you since I was a child all the way to today, from news radio all the way to the podcast. A large reason why I have my own podcast and I became a stand-up is because of you. Well, you certainly become a joke. But in any case, I've watched you since I was a child. Now, I want to put this in its proper context for you all, starting here about critical race theory. I've taught you now for over a decade that white supremacy believes in attacking your children. It absolutely believes in targeting your children. It doesn't believe in leaving them alone. It believes that your children are fair game. That is what they live on, that your kids are fair game. And one of the parts of fair game is to twist their little minds from the very beginning. They got to twist your minds from the very beginning. So when they get together and they start telling you that slavery didn't exist, they have to do that from the time that they're children. They have to do that from the time that you're kids. So you won't understand and so you won't know, but they do. So you'll never have known a time that you didn't look up to them. So now you just dismiss everything. That's why it is so important for young black children, particularly young black boys, to have white women in the classroom they look up to. There are no black men for them to look up to, like the white kids have. They've got white women to look up to. That's the entire point of it. It is not accidental. It is absolutely deliberate. It is not accidental. So the things that happen in your classrooms, the things that happen in these places, the things that happen with your children, they understand these formative experiences can be enough to psychologically break you so that you are no longer fighting the system, which is exactly where they need you to be. So I wanted to give you a very brief lesson about how this psychological mind bending, where you got a situation where, yes, you can hear and see these things, but what is he relying on? He's relying upon his childhood impressions, and he has dismissed everything else, and now he's rationalizing away everything else he's seen in order to maintain the cognitive dissonance that was sown into him as a child. That is why it is so important to not teach slavery to children. Don't teach it to white children, but especially don't teach it to black children. Very important that you not do that. Very important that that not happen. So I wanted that in its proper context so that you understand. That's what this is really about. This is really about white supremacy in the next 500 years. It's really about owning your minds and controlling your thoughts before you ever even begin. Now, of course, if you keep going here. Now, is this dude immigrant? I want to say this guy is an immigrant. I could be wrong, but I mean, I think he was, that guy on YouTube, Spencer Cornelia, didn't he do some, did this guy like get arrested for scamming people or something like that? Like scamming cable? I want to say he got arrested for some cable scam. The cable companies all got together and came and arrest him. So I want to say this guy's like an immigrant and he runs around running scams and whatnot, and the feds are after him and things. If I'm wrong, although I don't think I am, I want to say this guy in particular, I've seen a few videos with them talking about, yeah, he's out there scamming people and whatnot, and scamming cable in particular. So the cable companies have been coming after this guy. So yeah, this is Joe's Black Fan Club. Adesanya, this guy, yeah, this is his fan club. This is the fan club. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Only got 728 followers, but I wonder why he's explaining for Uncle Joe. I wonder why he's doing that. I can't quite put my finger on it. Don't know. I can't quite figure out why he's sitting here extra spicy cooning. I can't understand why. Can't understand why. Don't understand why. I don't get it. Another immigrant, I'm not sure, but she sees Zaddy. I don't know. So if Joe wants a plus size bed winch, well, all right. She's on deck. Oh, what do you know? Hey, there's a familiar name. Yeah, there's a familiar name. And didn't get too far away on that one now, did they? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, good old Caitlin done weighed in. There you go. There you go. All right. Now, the reason why I wanted to take you down this, and by the way, it does keep going. By the way, it does keep going in case you're wondering here. So it's a bunch of folks out there with millions of followers, by the way. So giving white supremacy sex appeal has always been very, very important. Now, Caitlin doesn't have very much to do with that part of it, but certain other folks, they'll always putting white supremacy by some silicone implants is always a good thing for them. So that's always a big thing for them. So yeah, that's what they have here. By the way, yeah, I'm going to end with this one here, just in case you thought I was about to leave out them old niggas. This needed to happen, brother. Coming from a black man, 61 years old. There's a lot of hypocrisy and idiocy over semantics. On top of that, cancel culture really sucks because it attacks a word and not the actual actions of your president. I can't do it. By the way, just in case you were wondering, yeah, the old niggas got to weigh in. Here they come. White folks was calling me niggas since I was 3 years old. I don't do the big deal. Don't y'all be playing in y'all music all the time. Y'all playing y'all music all the time. Why you gonna be offended about that now? Jason, what in the world does this all have to do with Ron DeSantis here? What it has to do with Ron DeSantis is you are taking a look at a situation here where I am letting you know right now, white supremacy needs to do an accounting and an inventory. And I am telling you, this is the accounting and the inventory from the LGBT community all the way to the Bimbet community, all the way to your coons and clowns, sports figures. There's a list of MMA fighters in here, as you could have imagined. All the way to Hennessy Performance. So now, I mean, you're just a step away from General Motors. When you're talking about Hennessy, you're just a step away from General Motors. And of course, bona fide white supremacists and individuals who would be members of the new internet media. And the reason why I bring this up is because I want you to understand that if you are going to fly a test balloon, if you're going to do that, then you need to make sure that the echo chamber is big enough, loud enough, strong enough, entrenched enough, and loyal enough that they're going to stick by you when you do that. So that when you move to the next logical step, which is to say we shouldn't talk about slavery anymore, there is no police brutality. Don't defund anything. What you mean you need reparations? Everything is just fine in America. You all need to just shut up and be quiet. And what you will find is it will not be a bunch of old white men doing it this time. It will be a bunch of young white people and Indians and foreigners and immigrants. It'll be a bunch of young ones doing it. It'll be a bunch of young folk out here telling you it's no big thing. There'll be a bunch of young folk out here saying it. And of course, they're always fishing to see who they can depend on to bring on Fox News or whatever as their window dressing. But that's what you'll really be up against. And if you want to know how it is that this guy who is so obviously competing to be to the right of Donald Trump really feels that he has a shot to be able to do so, why in the world is he coming out so strong about it? He's coming out so strong about it because it works. Joe Rogan is the battering ram that they are going to use in order to clear the field, to make it where when you start saying the more incendiary things that you've already broken down people's defenses and told them, well, you can't do anything about it. So there it is. Now let's tell you, Black people are not oppressed. There is no racism in America. There is no white supremacy. None of that's a problem. Everybody's got an equal shot. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You don't need reparations. You don't need anything. The police are never wrong. Do you all realize how many millions of people you were able to count just through those few accounts that I held my mouse over? Just by the few accounts I hovered over, did you realize how many millions of people there were there? Just over those. Just over those. And as you all know, internet media is way more persuasive than televised media. Televised media, if they weren't part of multinational corporations, they'd already be gone. And yet, DeSantis is using that. And he's using it because he knows it will work. He is not nearly as tactless as Trump was. And I submit to you all that 2022 is going to be important, because if DeSantis is going to run, he's going to have to make it clear this year that he's going for it. And I guarantee he's probably already been filling people out to let them know, hey, Don can't win. He already lost once. Yeah, he's the most popular figure in the party, but he's going to be 4 years older. He can't win. You need to go with a younger athlete. You need to go with a fresher athlete. You need to go with me. Everything that Trump is doing, I can do it better. Everything Trump's doing, I can do it better. I'm not nearly as incendiary. I don't say crazy conspiratorial things. I mean, at least I don't get as bad as Trump is about it. That means that this year will be critical. That means that if he's going to do it, 2022 will be the year he starts making that push for it. And let's be very, very clear. If he does want to make that push for it, this would certainly be the time to do it. It certainly would be. Who's his competition? Biden never looked more clueless in his life. This is a fellow who is literally floating through existence. He doesn't know what day of the year it is, much less anything else. So if DeSantis were going to make that move, yeah, you would be wanting to make it now, and you want to make it against Biden. All you got to do is convince the party that you are a much better bet than Biden. That's all you have to do. And I'm telling you all, despite what you might tell yourselves, despite what you might think, I am telling you that right now, DeSantis is winning. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you'll all remember, it was this microphone that charted out for you going into the 2016 election, charted out for you in 2015. Donald Trump's path to the White House went down all 50 states and named off one after another that where Trump would win, including Florida, which many people were saying, oh, there's no way Trump could win Florida, I was the only person who had analyzed it and said, yeah, Trump can win. Not only can he can win it walking away. Well, Marco Rubio and the Cubans. I told y'all, no. If Cubans have a choice between a genuine white supremacist and a faux white supremacist, they're going to take the same thing. If they have a choice between a faux Latino and a genuine white supremacist, they're going to take the same. They're going to take the genuine article. Ron DeSantis is both.
That's what you said they're gonna pick next.
Yeah.
I warned you about these things before.
Oh, for the governor?
No.
I'm warning you about it now.
Yeah, for presidents.
Going into this year, this will be the guy to watch. The only thing that would derail him is if the party has told him that he does not have their support. If the party tells him that, then he's a goner. At least this time around he is. But mark my words, mark everything I have told you. This is the apostle and the evangelist for political white supremacy going forward. This is Donald Trump II. And he is doing everything it takes to burnish his credentials now. This is the one to watch. We are going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. Before we do, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here. So thank you very much for your support. Andrew L., thank you. Mr. Richburg, I see you out there, and a big shout out to Chadwick as well. And thank you all for joining us here tonight. When we come back, people, it's not a game, it's not a joke, it's all real. This is the Black Channel.
Join 6zeros.net, a forum built to discuss all things relevant to Black people. On our forum, a check doesn't mean you're famous. It means your Blackness has been verified by our staff.
Sorry, Chad.
We also have premium merchandise with same-day shipping on most orders. And when you're ready for some dope content, check out the 0 Hour blog. Don't you sign up, post. I'm having a really good time with you tonight.
I'm having a good time with you too.
Want to go somewhere private, just for us?
I like that.
Great. Leave me on 6zeros.net. Black owned, Black operated.
The white supremacists use division as a weapon, dividing our families, our wealth, rewarding traitors, murdering heroes. Yet we survived. We fought for our reparations. Now it's our turn to divide and administer God's power. I am Agent Nuria Sellers, a foundational Black American. I promise that nothing will come between us. Buy the sci-fi novel, Nothing Will Come Between Us, available January 22nd. Pre-order online today at Amazon and Google Play. Spirit of1811publishing.com. Our story, our family.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
The future of legal betting is finally here. Place a bet using Cash App with Bitcoin right over the phone. Unlike with traditional gambling sites, every bet you place with us, you're guaranteed a 50% probability of winning. All of our bets are one-on-one against a real person and never the house. We offer some of the most unique bets in the industry. Bets like, will LeBron James win his 5th NBA title? Will Joe Biden be elected for a second term? Will Tesla be worth $1 trillion by the end of 2022? You can even bet on if it will rain tomorrow. You can literally bet on any future event. Text the phrase I bet to the number on the screen, and I'll reply with a list of all our available bets.
Are Are you tired of being overcharged and forced into paying a monthly subscription for your Mac and Windows software? Well, if you are, currently we're having a 50% off discount on all the latest Mac and Windows software, such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and much more. Our 50% off discount will be ending soon, so be sure to text us Need Software to 323-407-8214. That's 323-407-8214. We aim to please, so expect 24/7 technical support. The latest premium software, instant software links delivered to your email, and PayPal's buyer's protection guarantee.
When you need a reliable influx of capital to grow your business, Spectre Capital Finance provides fast, individualized working capital loans with lines of credit to take your business to the next level. SpectreCapitalFinance.com.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening here. As I told you all here, I don't give a damn about Super Bowls or football games because it doesn't matter who wins in the NFL. Black folk lose unless we are out here fighting for what's for us. So don't expect any playing around here. We're not doing that. In any case, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. You are, of course, welcome to join us here. On tonight's program, by the way, tonight's program is not meant to be popular. You know, every once in a while, you have something that's real barn burner, and then you have something like this where I'm trying to lay the foundation of something that we reference in the future so that you have all the information that you need so that when these things do blow up, then when people come back and reference it later, it's like, whoa, you know, somebody was talking about this a while ago. Let me look through my files. Who was saying that? And we were saying that here at the Black Channel. When I was predicting that Donald Trump was going to win the election, not that he could win or he might win, but that he would win a year before it happened, a bunch of folks didn't believe me. And then I had to walk through the process of walking you through all 50 states and showing which ones he was going to win. And sure enough, when it came down almost 100% the way I said that it would, then people came scrambling back to say, oh, let me go ahead and check into that. So tonight is another one of my attempts to do that here. I have had my eye on Ron DeSantis now for years. I've been talking about him for years. I've been keeping an eye on him for years. I've been tracking his movements for years, and it is now more clear than ever that he intends to make Donald Trump look like the nice guy in the room when he gets done. As far as he's concerned, Trump is just too incendiary and is a little too crude. That's the problem. Ron DeSantis understands that Trump is just a little too crude, but if DeSantis can be less crude, less abrasive in that manner, if he can be a little more sophisticated, not even tremendously more sophisticated, just a little more sophisticated, that would help. That would help. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here too. By the way, everybody on PayPal or Cash App, so you didn't go bet all your money away on Super Bowl gambling. So thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines now. The number is 646-787-1933. Let's go ahead and get caller from area code 843. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
TBA to Tobias out of Phoenix.
Tobias out of Phoenix. What's on your mind, brother?
Man, you know I had to call in on this one, man. Man, like DeSantis, when you were speaking on this, made me think about it. One, black people are going to show up to these polls next to elections also, because the Democrats did it to themselves by being so arrogant that not only they do anything, they're not even addressing black people issues. And so a lot of black people will be like, why the hell should I come out? You're not addressing my issues. But with DeSantis, I was just look at it when it comes to black people. I'm not saying black people will vote for him, but just think about this. He knows how to be president, just like he said. Trump was a guy who told you how sausage was made. He told y'all the truth about how they felt these politicians are. They don't like that. That's bad for business. That keeps people's eyes away. If you make them feel good, you say nice things and all that stuff, you keep the people asleep. And like DeSantis, people don't realize he's going to win if he's a Republican nominee. See what he does, unlike these Democrats do, they got a message. They got a unified front. They actually speak and advocate for their base. No matter how dumb you may think it is, they're speaking for them. They're advocating for them. When the last time the Democrats advocated for anybody? What is the Democrat's sole message? There isn't one. Trump had Make America Great Again. What was the Democrat? There isn't one. All they're going to do is tell you to shut up and vote, but vote for what? There is no plan. It's just to get in and do the status quo while black people are still the poorest group in the country by a country mile. Why should any black person go out there and vote? And you see it now with social media. And like I say to Jason, I think Obama was actually the worst thing that happened to the Democratic Party because how he ignored the black community actually turned a lot of black people against the Democratic Party. Then you see Kamala Harris say she ain't gonna do nothing. Then you see how Joe Biden does not doing anything. Stacey Abrams, she keeps running, but what's her plan? That, and you start to see it now, and these Republicans are just sitting there, kick their legs up on the table, lean back in the chair, their hands behind their head, and just letting it happen.
Well, certainly, I think you're right about the issue there. The Democrats certainly got used to being able to sit back on their laurels. They got used to that. They got accustomed to it. And now, at this point right now, like I say, it's a rudderless ship. The Republicans have been getting in the position. They have basically been they were ousted from the kingdom. They've been wandering in the wilderness, and they've been waiting for their opportunity to regather their strength and come strike back again. And what you are seeing, I mean, just understand, and here's the real thing, even if it isn't successful, it's very clear what the strategy is. And by the way, this is going to sound frighteningly familiar, which is why I went down this thing. That's why I mentioned Mike Rashid and Omi the Hellcat and Caitlyn Jenner and the bimbo blonde there or whatever, and Steven Crowder. So what do you got, brother? You've got white supremacists. You've got female suspected white supremacists. You've got your buffer classes, your African black buffer class, or your black, should I say, your melanated buffer classes. You've got your ostensibly descendants of slaves or foundationals. And you got the LGBT. Think about that for a few moments. Well, doesn't that sound more like they belong in, like that there's some other party that's been catering to them? Doesn't that sound more like that? And yet, there they are over there with Rogan. Yet, there they are over there with him. So what I'm saying is a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about your black immigrants, about the LGBT, about all those that I mentioned there. A lot of folks make assumptions about them, with the exception of the white supremacists. They make a lot of assumptions about them and just assume they're going to go a certain way. And yet, in reality, if you sit them down in front of them white folk, you're going to find out that, we talk about white supremacy and they talk about white supremacy. It doesn't bother them nearly as much as it bothers us. I'll let you have the last word.
Yep. And I'll say this real quick. Thanks for taking my call. Personally, I don't want Joe Rogan to get canceled. I like my bigot to be out there. But all these cool black folks say, well, he ain't racist. Well, he ain't going to be racist in front of you. He ain't going to call you the N-word in front of you. But this is why black people, we need reparations where we can own and control our own media to tell our message where we ain't begging white people to cancel another white person. Joe Rogan makes Spotify too much money, Jason. You know that. He ain't canceling that. They ain't canceling that golden goose. You shouldn't have to worry about canceling anybody if you have the money to create and support our own media.
Well, let's be clear.
Let's
be clear about something here. Everybody's talking about Spotify. These videos were already up on YouTube for years and years. So hell no, Spotify's not going to remove him. Not going to remove it because YouTube never removed it. Now, of course, they target channels like mine, of course, and they target Minister Farrakhan, of course. So, like I said, you're dealing with white supremacist organs, but yeah, Spotify was never going to remove him. But then again, this stuff has been up way longer before now on YouTube, and it was perfectly fine there. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, let me get call from area code 626. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
I'm L out of LA.
L out of LA. What's on your mind, brother?
I wanted to get something cleared up. I typed something in the chat. It came out incorrect.
Okay, sounds like you're getting mugged over there, brother. Hold the phone still. It sounds like the white supremacists are trying to come in on you. So, hold the phone still.
Oh, they know better than that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so go ahead and make your point.
Okay. I have no disagreement with what you are saying. The thing is, usually in the chat, people are asked to call in if they disagree. And what I typed in was that you are not lying, isn't. But isn't didn't come up, it just said is. And I didn't look at it up until most recently. And I would like to have that. I'm just clearing that up.
Okay. Well, let the mods know, and they can see if they blocked you. You can see about getting them to unblock that for you.
Yeah.
It
is
well,
important.
Never mind, because if you can't
be able to communicate.
If you can't type in the chat room, and if you're blocked, I guess that won't help. Just go ahead and send me an email, L. Just send me an email with your YouTube username, and if you've been blocked, I'll get them to unblock that for you. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get call from area code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is John calling from San Francisco.
Okay. Take your phone off the speaker.
Yeah. 1 second.
Okay, Don, call us back next week. Call from area code 505. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, this is Najee calling from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
RJ from Albuquerque, what's on your mind?
I'm just wanting to point out a lot of the hypocrisy. I'm sure you've seen it. The number one, like all across the board, like all the white media is not even mentioning the racist thing about Rogan. But they're constantly trying to they're trying to yell all loud about vaccines or whatever, and trying to not mention a word about that. And also, it's pretty it's just funny watching them. The right wing, although I don't really prefer either wing, whatever, but the right wing is like cheering on the trucker protests, but the truckers are blocking the highways. And not too long ago, the right wing was all complaining about that. I also wanted to ask your help for a little bit of something if you're up to it, but yeah, you can go ahead and speak if you want to speak on that.
Well, no, I mean, I think you're absolutely right about that. Blocking roadways was a bad idea up until now. So just like teen pregnancy was a bad idea until Crystal Palin did it. So yeah, it's getting high was a bad idea until, Bill Clinton smoked a little bit and then Joe Biden's son smoked a little bit more. And now all of a sudden it's all legit. So you absolutely make some very good points.
Yeah. I wanted to ask your help. I wanted to send you an email about a certain case I'm trying to do. I just wanted to have a look at it. I did send you an email a while ago, but you probably missed it because I didn't really let you know. But
no, I probably did not miss it. If I didn't ask you to send me an email, I do not want emails. My email is absolutely flooded as it is. If I stop to read everything that people just send me out of nowhere, I literally wouldn't get anything done. So my policy is, if I do not ask you to send me an email, don't send me one, because if you do, I will immediately block it. Now, that what happens then is now, if I haven't gotten anything from you, it's probably because you're already blocked. So, ladies and gentlemen, do not send me an email if I didn't ask you to. All I'm going to do is mark it as spam or block it or both. So, in the future, keep that in mind. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get call from area code 662. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello. Yes, my name is Freddie Monroe. And
okay, we got too many people calling tonight here with their earphones on or on their speakerphones. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start removing folk for doing that. People, get off your speakerphones and get off your earphones when you're calling in. It sounds like y'all are calling from the bottom of a coffee can. Caller from area code 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Shawnee. I'm calling from Faraday, Louisiana.
All right, Shawnee from Faraday. What's on your mind?
With respect to Joe Rogan's use of the N-word, I just believe that he's too big to cancel. But Whoopi Goldberg was not too big to cancel. And I think the words that Joe Rogan is using is harsh compared to what Whoopi Goldberg said. And then I also noticed that people like Candace Owens and Larry Elder, who always seemingly have things to say, talk about fixing what's wrong with the Black community, neither one have come out and spoken against Joe Rogan.
Well, I mean, definitely the real issue here is that Black folk could have done this a long damn time ago, okay? The problem is too many Black folk are bought off, too many Black folk are bootlicking, too many Black people are looking to be part of somebody else's thing. Joe Rogan, if you remember, I mean, he's actually got a pretty good story about him there. He came to Hollywood or came to Los Angeles years and years ago. He got himself an agent, you know. Eventually he got into stand-up, but then, you know, eventually he got the gig with Fear Factor and whatnot. And he was a much younger fella at the time. And he could have tried to get back into the network. He could have tried to do that because he was already mobbed up with NBC. He could have tried that, but he didn't. So he goes off in the UFC and whatnot because he's looking for something he could own. And you don't get where he is today accidentally. Remember, Joe Rogan goes back to the days of Ustream just like I do. Okay? Joe Rogan was on Ustream at the same time I was, if you go back far enough. So all of us back then understood the power of having an unlimited live streaming platform. And Ustream really was the only one that was doing it the way it was. It really was the only one. So all of us saw that then. Joe Rogan has the benefit of being white. That's the only difference. He has the benefit of being white. So, you know, here comes Andrew Dice Clay and the rest of his friends and whatnot. Then here comes the UFC, and we can go up from there. By the time he gets to YouTube, you know, he's already got a leg up on it. But let's be very, very clear. It was no accident. He wanted to own his own media platform. He wanted to own it. And the fact that he owns it, there's the problem that you have. You can't fire Joe Rogan because it's called the Joe Rogan Podcast. You can't fire him. You're not in charge. You know, people, we're talking about a guy who's literally at this point here got tens of millions of dollars. He literally could set up his own streaming platform for his program if he wanted to. Literally. You don't have the ability to do so. When you say that he's too big to cancel, I would make a correction to that. He's too rich to cancel now. If he wants to stay out there, he can stay out there. Never mind the fact that now you've got new platforms that are offering all kinds of money. Never mind the fact you got new platforms out there that are waiting in the wings. They would love for Spotify to cancel him because there's a bunch of other platforms. They'll get their venture capitalists together. They would love it. He would be deplatformed for all of 20 minutes. They would beg. There are a number of platforms right now that would beg. They would pay Spotify $100 million to get him out of his contract so that they can sign him up. That's just how far they would go for it. You don't see that with Black people because by and large, Black people are looking to get employed. Case in point, Jamel Hill I think she just got a gig with CNN once a week. Her and who is that? Bottom B? Keisha Bottom B? Yeah. Keisha Lance Bottom B is now she's got a little gig with CNN. So what does that tell y'all? CNN understands, we kind of look raggedy on the racial front. Let's go ahead and get some bed winches up in this damn thing. And there they are. So they're looking to get employed. They're looking to be employees. They're looking to get a check every week. Rogan wasn't looking for that. And now, after over a decade of putting in the work of it, He's got a fortress that you can't assail. He's got one that you cannot knock down now. You can't knock it down. That's the problem. You couldn't knock it down if you wanted to. You know why? Spotify can't break him because Spotify didn't build him. That's the problem. YouTube can't break him because YouTube can't. He's first of all, apologizing. Ma'am, please understand the difference between politics and sincerity. This is politics. I need y'all to be very, very clear about that. This is politics. Understand something. Practicing white supremacy has very little to do with sitting around here and concentrating on whether or not, somebody's using the N-word or not. Politics has very little to do with that. Politics has a whole lot more to do with controlling a narrative. That's what it has to do with. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I am not sure what in the hell they are doing out there either, by the way. I got folk bashing up my damn truck. I've been at this janky ass place here and whatnot, and supposedly you're a multinational. Anyway, like I say, it's havoc going on over here. But call of America 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening. This is Gear Shifter calling out of Jackson, Mississippi.
Gear Shifter out of Jackson, Mississippi. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I wanted to chime in and say that I was listening to a podcast this afternoon at my home where they were saying, Donald Trump allowed, some black people to get out of jail. I think they had maybe drug charges or something connected to marijuana. And when these people got out, they put the person in the presidency, meaning Joe Biden. They elected this man to become president. And so I'm bringing that up because there's, to me, a toxicity in the black community. And that toxicity is we really do not understand politics at all. We don't know what politics is used for. Most of us use politics as our personal, working horse. Politics is a group sport. It's supposed to work to benefit your group, not benefit you personally. But the thing is, white supremacy, being the evil genius that it has operated in, I guess you could say, for many, many years, white supremacy has worked to confuse black people about politics. We take a very juvenile position when it comes to politics.
Well, we've been allowed to take a very juvenile position. Black people as a group, what they do is they install leaders. In white society doesn't have a leader. They have a code, and everybody follows behind that. In black society, we were told, no, you can't have a code. And every time somebody tries to put one into place and institute it, they break that up. When you take a look at Irish people, when you take a look at the Irish gangs, Irish mob, the Irish people who joined the police forces, which, by the way, when you go around the country, you realize that was what a lot of Irish Catholics did as they became police officers. You take a look at the Italians with the mafia. They were allowed to institute a code. Latinos, Asians, they're all allowed to institute a code. It's only when black people attempt to do the same thing that all of a sudden here comes your government apparatus, your media apparatus, your academic apparatus. Oh, no. You can't make those decisions on your own, and you certainly cannot enforce them. Why don't you go ahead and listen to us? Here's John Lewis, and here's Elijah Mushmouth Cummings, and here's Barack backstabbing Obama. Go ahead and listen to them. Now, you don't know any of these niggas. We brought them to you, but go ahead and listen to them. They're much safer than anything you could come up with. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, let me get caller Miracle 334. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ray from YouFollow. Hey, man, I appreciate your broadcast, man.
Okay, Ray from where?
YouFollow, Alabama.
Okay, Ray from YouFollow, Alabama. What's on your mind?
Hey, I love your broadcast, man. I like the way you call out these sellout Sambos and Coons because Willie D, I used to listen to the podcast a lot, and you called about a long time ago, and that's when I stopped listening to him. I just can't believe this guy got over 1 million. He got over 1 million listeners, and he's not calling this guy out. His broadcast, if he calls this guy out, man, stop. I'm gonna let you have the last word.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, his buddies got real quiet. His black buddies either got real quiet or they got real loud, one or the other. So keep that in mind, people. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Let me get a caller from area code 216. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, TBA. This is Damon from Cleveland.
Damon from Cleveland. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to make a comment on what we're talking about. A lot of the white supremacists being on code. And in my experience, when things like this happen, such as Joe Rogan's incident and Whoopi's incident, you know, like in the workplace, I know they don't like to discuss race, politics, and religion, but it's funny to me, like I'm in an IT position, and I see a lot of the older white guys, you know, they like to talk when it's something negative happening to a group outside of theirs. And like, they're all on code when it comes to these type of issues. They want, they protect theirs and they stay on code. Never anyone out the box, but I know who's a close ally in IT also. Looking at the hierarchy where I'm at, there's no black people in leadership positions when you look at the organizational chart. But the mixed race individuals seem to always lean towards the dominant society's point of view. Like they don't see themselves as a black. Now, I got a feeling that they do this because they think they're going to get a handout or a promotion if they stick close because it's really clicked up. But they don't see themselves as black, and they never, whenever something negative's happening to our people, they don't see themselves as black. And I know that conflict prevents them from really accepting like how dominant society views them. They see themselves as white when they navigate throughout the workforce.
Well, that's what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing taught us. She taught us that white society plays dumb about racism and black folk play dumb along with them. It is not because they do not see it or understand it. It's because they have the luxury of playing stupid, and there's not a sufficient black influence to be able to punish that kind of thing. So for the time being, at least up until recent years, they were to get away with it. Now it's a lot harder to do it now, because now we can put a spotlight on them and we can put them on the marquee now. And there's a price to be paid when you do it now. Not nearly as much as we would like for it to be, but there's actually a price to be paid for it now, which is why all the Biden supporters are super quiet. Where Rogan is concerned, the bottom line is, technically speaking, Rogan is winning. And as long as that company's going to stand behind him the way that Fox stands behind, Tucker Carlson, he'll be okay in that regard unless he does. Basically, Spotify's not going to get rid of him unless he does something criminal. If he does something criminal, that's different. Other than that, they got protection. But yes, black folk play dumb about these things, and the white dudes definitely see that. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a call from area code 214. Does this dummy have his speakers on?
Standpoint, as a black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks.
Okay. I'm not really sure what this individual is trying to do here. They were instructed to call in by the moderators, but apparently, for some reason, I'm not really sure what's going on there. But it sounds like they've been abducted. Sounds like they need some assistance. Not really sure what happened here. But definitely it sounds like they need some assistance. I certainly hope we can get their number to be able to make sure that they get some help for that. If anybody knows that guy's number, certainly let people know. We'd like to get him some assistance, by the way. So if anybody finds it, if anybody's able to locate it, give him a call and see if we can do a wellness check. He wanted to troll, so if anybody gets the troll's number or whatever, if anybody finds the troll's number, by all means, give him a wellness check. I feel he's in trouble out there. He doesn't have control of his phone. So definitely Give him a wellness check. I think that'd be important for him. Call of Mary code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, Jason Black. This is Don P. from San Francisco.
Don, glad to see you got your situation straightened out. What's on your mind?
I was hoping I'd be back at this spot before you put me on, but man, Joe Rogan is the dung or the fertilizer they're using to ignite this cover-up. They tried it with two other people before, two predominant society.
Don, one issue.
Yes, sir.
You called in last night.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one call per weekend, Don. Remember that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Folks, don't call back to back. We call once a weekend so I can get some other folk up in here. Let me get called Mary code 843. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Phil from Buford.
Folks, take your phones off of speaker. Take them off of your Bluetooth. I don't care how great you think you sound. You do not sound that great.
This is Phil from Buford.
Phil from Buford, what's on your mind?
Well, you know, I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm not arguing or anything or mad about it, but I'm not a Joe Rogan listener, and whatever he said in the past, I don't know what he said, don't really care, but I just don't. I don't think you should like lump Trump and all of him, you know, DeSantis in with him, because I'm all about Black people being physically conservative as well as socially conservative, building families, and getting out of the grips of the Democrat machine. And like I said, there's a handful of Republicans that I would support, and there's just no Democrats that I would support, going forward for president or anything like that. But I understand what you're doing, and I agree that we do need candidates that have a Black agenda. And I wish there were people who could articulate to these Republicans what would be in our best interest, and then get Republicans to get behind it, because the Democrats.
Caller Mary code 737. You're on live with Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from 737 has been abducted. Caller from area code 832. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Sheriff calling from Houston, Texas. I was told to call in.
Okay, and why were you told to call in?
My comments. And my issue is that
okay, what was the comment you made?
Okay, my comment was about us being so emotional. And the reason I made that comment is that this is the political side what Joe Rogan did by bringing Dr. Malone on and Peter McCullough, who were talking against the COVID-19 virus. Now, all these years, that information about him calling us the N-word was on YouTube and on Spotify. Okay, why didn't you bring that up then? See, I agree with the young lady who called in earlier about politics.
Why didn't who bring it up then?
Anybody.
Ma'am, the new black media has, the new black media, I know news moves slow down there where you're from. The new black media, we've been talking about Joe Rogan running. Yes, it does, ma'am. You are slow as hell. I can spell your words before you say them. You're slow.
Okay, you live in Louisiana, though.
Ma'am, yes, so I live in Louisiana, but we read over there. So just understand something.
Okay, and I read very well.
I've got an advantage I got an advantage you don't have. My mama watched crackheads, didn't smoke it. Your mama smoked crackheads and didn't watch it.
Okay, well, I got a big advantage than you. Okay, I'm a registered nurse. I'm very educated. My
Ma'am,
father made sure we
you
read
sound like
every
a
day.
size
But anyway,
18.
to my point.
You sound like a size
to the
18,
point,
ma'am.
stick
You don't.
it to the point.
You are not a registered nurse. You're a registered
Baby.
eater. Okay, let's not do that. Okay,
No,
let's
I'm not. I'm not a size 18.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you can look at my picture. Okay.
Oh, I don't want to see
I'm
your
a size
picture.
10,
I don't
and
want
I'm
to see your
very
picture.
nice
No,
looking,
ma'am.
so you don't have to insult me.
I don't want to see
We
your picture,
cannot be
ma'am.
political.
No, I bet you look like a
And get
crawfish.
caught up in what the Democrats do and push with race.
No,
When
ma'am.
none of this did not come forward.
We've been
until
talking
he
about
brought
this
those
for
people
years,
on his
ma'am.
show.
We've been talking about this for years. Back when you was getting.
So why we get caught up in our emotions?
It's not about emotions. We're just reminding everybody that we've been talking about this for years,
Bring that
ma'am.
up years ago?
Man, we were talking about this while
Why didn't they bring it up for years
we were
ago?
talking about this while you were getting high dancing the Dougie. Okay, we've been talking about this for a long time. You're just slow. We've been talking about this forever.
No, you're.
In any case, yeah. If you want to know what happens when your kids are on the short bus and can't get off of it, you know, like those commercials, I've fallen and I can't get up. I'm stuck in the back of the short bus and I can't get off. That was her. Right there. I'm a registered nurse. You're registered for the buffet. That's the only damn thing you're registered for. Call America 305. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm tired of y'all fuck niggas disrespecting black women, especially you, Jason Black. You a bitch ass nigga, man. I want to see about you. Come to Miami, fuck niggas.
I come to Miami all the time,
Disrespecting
sir.
black women because you can't get pussy.
I come to Miami all the
Fuck, boy.
times. Well, I can't say all the time. I come to Miami and I come to Miami every
Disrespecting
few
black women
months.
because you can't get pussy, man. You disrespecting black women too much.
Would you like me to come
Make
see
your point, and
you?
that's it, fuck nigga.
Would you like me to come see
I
you?
really see about you, boy.
Are you
I really
asking?
see about you. Y'all fuck niggas always talking about black women.
Oh,
We
I'm
got enough
sorry.
going on, fuck niggas.
This is one of the immigrants. Oh, this is one of the immigrants.
We got enough going on, all right?
Well, he's one of the
You can't
immigrants.
be divided like that, my nigga.
He's triggered.
You want to divide black women and black women?
Okay,
Stay in your
brother.
lane. You go get your white bitch.
Yeah, see, they
Fuck her pussy.
canceled the Bob Marley festival. He's triggered as hell. Boy, I'm telling you.
Listen,
Man.
go get your Becky.
All they had to
and
do
fuck
is
her dick.
cancel the Bob Marley festival. He's, I mean, nothing up, boy. He's angry. All they did was cancel the Island Boys concert. Was that what happened? Okay, he's real upset about it. Real angry. He's mad about what I said about the Haitians, I guess. What do you mean? Come down here to Miami. Okay, you know, we're not coming to Jamaica. We're not coming there. And neither are you, by the way. You won't be there either. What the hell I look like coming to Miami to see him? Caller from area code 786. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Nick Nubian from Miami.
Nick from Miami. I certainly hope you don't run into the last caller out there. If you see some dude standing around in the middle of in the bad part of Miami, waving his fist in the air, talking about "I hate Jason Black," that might be him. So you might want to just steer around him. He's off his meds and on the road. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just rode by him. He's on 79th right now with his pussy out. But nevertheless, I was actually calling because I've been a long time listener for at least 10 years. And I got to say I'm Haitian as well. So he's an embarrassment. I can hear the Haitian accent. Very clear that he is low IQ when it comes to politics, like most people down here. And it's crazy that he didn't have a thing to say about Joe Rogan. He didn't have a damn thing to say about DeSantis. These people, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is when it comes to politics, they have no desire. They're just, like you always say, they're intellectually lazy. But they want to come and try to show their bravado for something that they don't even understand. Like, he just got up on the phone, just beating his chest like a gorilla. Like, I mean, and he had no idea what was going on. It's like he wasn't even here for the whole broadcast.
No, he's
Like,
fresh. He's fresh off the
nothing
pipe.
to say, nothing to add.
No, brother, he's fresh off the pipe, man. He's out here. He's running. He's screaming. He's yelling. He's fresh off of one of them Joe Biden pipes. Joe Biden's been handing around the crack pipes and whatnot, so he's got his, and he's triggered as he can be. Although, in all seriousness, though, the sad part is, of course, you got Ron DeSantis sitting there and whatnot, and he's got his bad intentions for everybody, while this guy is triggered supposedly about females and whatnot. Understand something. I don't have nearly the amount of power or influence in Florida that DeSantis has. Hell, I don't have the power and influence in Florida that Joe Rogan has. And he's not worried about them. He's worried about me, which is a disease among black folk. They sit up here and yell at other powerless people as opposed to talking about somebody who can actually do something to you.
It totally encapsulates what we're facing out here, not just as a nation, but in South Florida, period. I'm born and raised down here, and just again, I'm first generation Haitian, Haitian American, to say, but nevertheless, I've always been an advocate for our people. Like even in elementary, I can remember not even wanting to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance for some reason. It was in me. And you always spoke to me. I just wanted to call in and give you your flowers while I had a chance. And you're rising, man. I think you're 134, 35 right now?
34 and rising.
And yeah, just the other week, I'm counting with you, man. Just the other week, 133, 132. So it's been 2,000 in 2 weeks. They can't stop you. It's already a problem. So it's like, I just called to give you flowers, man.
Well, thank you very much, brother. We appreciate that. And well, just be watching out for old boy out there and everything. If you see a nigga naked walking down the Miami Boulevard, skinning chickens and cutting their heads off and throwing the blood on doorways, that's probably him. So just be careful out there, everybody. Be careful. You see some clown out there trying to do some half-ass voodoo. I hate Jason Black chopping off heads off of chickens. Okay, that's probably him. Unfortunately for him, I'll still be here. Call from area code 484. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Jason. My name is Rita. Can you hear me okay? Because I got it on speaker and I'm a little shaky. My voice is shaking because I just hung up with my 9-year-old granddaughter who goes to school in Florida and just told me that some little Puerto Rican boy was calling her and her little other friend niggers and hard ER. Niggers, nigga. My granddaughter asked him, like, are you Puerto Rican? I mean, are you like mixed with black, or you got black in you or anything? Like I have her listening to all of y'all, you, Tariq, Vicky, all y'all. So I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, but I'm calling you because I just found out like minutes ago, and I want to make sure I take all the right steps. So I'm actually coming to you for guidance for how do I deal with this situation. The teacher did nothing. Nothing, of course, happened to this kid. The PE teacher was right there. He was Puerto Rican. He kind of brushed it off. And they called my son to tell him and his girlfriend what happened. And they didn't even tell them about the boy dropping the N-bomb. Or I don't know about the bitches and whores, but nothing happened to this kid. So
okay, well, first of all, what they want to see is how seriously you all take that. So this isn't an issue even for the coach. That's silly as hell right there. You're supposed to be sitting in the principal's office about something like that and have the coach on that. So this is for the coach to take care of. It's like, oh, but trust me, we don't even talk to you. This is already over your head. So you're supposed to already, her parents are supposed to already have done that. The other thing though is that this is a time for you all to debrief. Okay, slow down.
I'm sorry.
This is a situation, though, for the young children. They need to learn these things early. And your job is to put it in its proper context so that they understand that as they get older, television is going to tell them that it's not white supremacy unless a person's waving a swastika and dressed up like the Ku Klux Klan on Halloween. That's what they're going to be conditioned to think, because the schools aren't going to tell them anything anymore now that they've sanitized the textbooks. So the only place they'll learn about this is from you. That's the only place they're going to learn about that kind of thing. So it's going to be important for you to put it in its proper context that you're in the system of white supremacy. And they have to understand what white supremacy is. You do not have to be a European or an Anglo to be a white supremacist. that you have to tell them that white supremacy is a code and an ideology, and that there's a bunch of people who, while they do not racially they don't racially confirm to being European per se. These are individuals who come from places that have European ancestry and European dominance, and they identify as Europeans. So that's where you have the Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and whatnot. There's a reason why so many of these folk who identify as Puerto Rican, even if they tend to have some Afro Puerto Rican to them, the coonery ain't very far behind them. So your job is to put that in its proper context. Now, what your son is or is not doing is a different matter. However, you need to make sure that if you're in communication with them, these babies can't be sitting out here just looking stupid and idiotic. Just because their parents are morons doesn't mean that you have to sit up here and allow them to be oblivious to what's going on, because they're in a deadly dangerous situation. Florida is a real good place for naive young Black children to find themselves by themselves somewhere surrounded by some white supremacists that their little classmates walked them off into because somebody didn't let them know you are a little Black child in this world. So your job is to make sure you bypass whatever foolishness is going on with your son or whatever, and make sure that they are clear about what these distinctions are and why this is happening. And don't try to shield them from that. They need to see this. And your job is to help them make sure they understand it, not to try to remove it from the spectrum, but to make sure they understand it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 704. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm calling from Salisbury, North Carolina.
Michael from Salisbury, North Carolina. What's on your mind?
Yes, I'm calling about this coonery and buffoonery, and I think we as Black men need to beat iron back into steel with these coons and everything. They understand fear, and I think as Black men, or as Black men, we gotta put fear back into them and make them do what we need them to do and put them on the code. Just like an old sergeant in the back of the regiment, when one is ready to run from the battle, there's an old sergeant back there waiting with his pistol to shoot him to put him back in the battle. And all these coons running and condemning you, that's a shame. And anybody that's watching that racist ass football game tonight is all damn cold. Now, how many times we gotta take these and down in Miami, the guy can't be a damn coach, and then they got a half a Black person in there talking about he ain't never been racially discriminated. It's gonna be the damn coach.
Well, they certainly have a tendency of overlooking that if they can, but definitely thank you for giving us a call here tonight. It ain't a game, people. It's not a joke, and it's not a game. Let me get called from area code 850. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay, turn off your
My name
speakers.
is Maurice, calling from Orlando, Florida. My name is Maurice, calling from Orlando, Florida.
Maurice from Orlando, what's on your mind?
I was told by the mods to call in and express my disagreement with the position on Joe Rogan. I think that Joe Rogan's podcast is one of the most important platforms in the country right now. And I think that the race issue is a minute issue to be concerned with, and we have greater issues at hand.
Okay, so just so we can be clear, when Joe Rogan brings on Alex Jones, who obviously his anti-Black rhetoric speaks for itself in that regard, you consider, and for the tens of millions of people, you consider that to be a, quote, minute, he didn't even say small, he said minute issue.
Yes, because to the best of my knowledge, you kind of have to put yourself in a position where they can, disenfranchise you. If you're moving a certain way in society, there's really not much they can do about it. The average white person has no,
Okay, well, I really just wanted a yes or no on that. So you consider Alex Jones's appearances there some of the other white supremacists there. I think Steven Crowder's been on there.
I'm not
You
gonna lie
consider,
to you.
okay,
Alex
sir,
Jones, he's
we don't talk over the host, sir. You hear me just fine. We don't talk over the host here, sir.
Yeah.
Calm down. Let's get your wheat thins. Calm down. So you consider that to be a minute issue. And when Joe Rogan brings on a scientist to say that black people possess a genetic trait that skews towards aggression and violence, that's a mind from tens of millions of people and the same large audience, you consider that to be a minute issue also.
Okay. When I say minute,
okay, sir, that's a yes or no. Do you also consider? You said that's a minute issue. You consider that, sir? You consider that to be a minute issue? Oh, now he wants to clarify. Now he wants to clarify it. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I got to add a little bit of context.
Oh, now he wants to add some context. Now, before it was a minute issue. Now it's wait a minute, context.
Because I was using a little bit of vague language. I'm going to add some context to it. The reason I said minute is because I consider.
Yeah.
I consider, the bigger issues that we need to be concerned about to, pretty much make that like a back grill issue.
A back grill issue. Okay, so when Joe Rogan gets in front of his program and says, when Joe Rogan gets in front of his program and directly compares black people to Planet of the Apes, you consider that to be a minor issue, a minute issue also.
I'm gonna tell you, I spent 11 years in the service, man. I used to.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna take. Right, I'm gonna tell you.
Were you in the Navy? Were you in the Navy? Were you in the Navy? Were you in the Navy, sir?
There's no white person that can stand in the same room as me that's gonna consider himself superior to me.
Okay, sir, were you in the Navy?
No.
You were in the Army?
I was in the Air Force.
Okay. I would usually they come from the Navy when they're on those ships and they got a lot of interracial sexual access. They usually come back talking like this. Or next is the Army and they're in the barracks and they have a lot of interracial sexual access. And they come out diminishing white supremacy. White supremacy just falls off their backs like water off a duck. They come to the rest of us and they think there's something wrong with the rest of us when we say it's like, hey, we don't go with that.
Actually, I'm a very confrontational person. I actually don't shy away from confrontation.
You ain't confronting Joe Rogan.
Controversial issues coming up, such as the Trayvon Martin issue.
He's not confronting Joe Rogan. He's not confronting that. Joe Rogan gets a pass.
That's why I added the context to it.
Yeah, let me add some context.
I'm saying in comparison to what's currently going on in the world, that's something that I'm not going to choose to pay as much or lend as much energy toward that issue.
Okay, and what exactly you said that Joe Rogan serves a very valuable purpose.
Yes.
Okay, and what is the valuable purpose that Joe Rogan's podcast serves in your mind?
Because information that they don't want going mainstream, he's pretty much like the glitch in their little matrix.
And what type of information? Information is that?
Information, basically, the guy that has all of these patents with the I guess the mRNA strands or whatever. I'm not a scientist, but basically regarding the vaccine issues and the lies that were presented to, the masses.
So I want you all to understand what this guy on the phone is saying here, okay? What he's saying is that Joe Rogan is basically a sandwich. And the sandwich has bread and it's got beef on it, but it's also got a great big huge slice of cheese called white supremacy. And what he's saying is this all being served together, because what he's trying to do is compartmentalize this in his mind. And we're telling you, no, it's all being served along with everything else. So he's like, well, as long as Joe Rogan is talking about mRNA and some of the flaws in this vaccine debate, then we can eat the white supremacy along with it.
Right. Here's the thing.
The reality,
he's just bypassed it. He stepped right past that. Did you see that? Yeah, he just stepped right past it.
No, this is the reality. I'm gonna tell you something about me. When I first joined the military, that's when I really got an opportunity to work alongside white people and really understand how they think. And I remember when I went back home first time to visit my mother, and my mother and one of my aunts wanted me to go to an MLK march. I said, no, I'm not with that march stuff. With white people, you have to speak the language of death or money. It's one or the other. So unless black people as a whole are ready to go to war about a lot of the issues that we like to talk about, all that protesting and doing that's just a bunch of records that's going to ultimately get ignored.
Sir, warfare starts between your ears, sir. War starts with you making the decision that you understand who your enemy is and why they are an enemy to you.
I know exactly who my enemies are.
Okay, but most black people don't have that clarity, and you obviously don't know who it is because you're saying, I'm willing to give that white supremacy is not the most important thing. Vaccines are the most important thing.
No. I understand that.
No, clearly you don't, because it's been explained to you several times. Hey, there's a bunch of white supremacist rhetoric going on over there, and you said, well, yeah, but he serves a valuable purpose. There's no purpose the person can serve that overrides their white supremacy.
They're not going to promote pro-black.
Okay, you don't have to promote sir. You don't have to promote white supremacy to not promote being pro-black. Nobody's saying anything about him promoting pro-black. He's promoting pro-white supremacy.
One is just more verbal about it, and the other one is just puts policies into place that promotes it.
Okay, the bottom line is you were the one who said that Joe Rogan serves a useful purpose, and there is no purpose. There is no purpose. So, and what you're saying is give the white supremacists. Yes, thank you. And the difference between us and you is that we don't give white supremacists a pass. We don't sit there and butt dance and pretend we didn't hear that.
I don't get to do the pass.
Yeah, you are.
To be honest with you, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not even certain about the legitimacy to that video that was released. He said he didn't say that. It was different context. So I don't know. I have no confirmation on if he was actually using it in a derogative manner like that, the way it was presented.
Brother, we're gonna get you some thistles, and we're gonna see if we can get you some cloth shoes, and we're gonna see if we can ship those to you. Stay on the line. I'll get my operator to get your address so we can send that to you with some corn on the cob, and some watermelon seeds. Because we wouldn't want Joe Rogan talking about some nonsense about vaccines and mRNA. That to you trumps white supremacy. Give all the rest of that white supremacy rhetoric a pass because he said something about vaccines.
It's not just about vaccines. The vaccine is just a smoke screen for what the ultimate objective is.
No, sir, you said he serves a useful purpose, and there's nobody whose purpose is, sir, we do not talk over the host. There is nobody whose purpose is so useful, sir. Sir, do not talk over the host, sir. You need to be quiet. There is nobody whose purpose is so useful that we can overlook white supremacist rhetoric being served up on a regular basis. There is nobody whose purpose is so useful that we do that. Clearly, that's a concept that isn't penetrating your head.
No, I'm just not confused on the reality of life.
Well, so why don't you explain to us what the reality of life is that allows us to overlook white supremacy?
The reality of life is white people control the nation. That's the reality. And the reality of power is, unless you're ready to
go along, get along,
take it from them, you can sit there and bark and protest and do all that bullshit until you're blue in the face. It's not going to matter.
Y'all have to remember something. There are a lot of buck-broken dudes in the military who talk just like this. This is something, they hang out with the white dudes long enough, and the white dudes who actually condition them to talk like this, but there's a lot of buck-broken dudes in the military who come back talking like this, and they think this slick type of convoluted statement is going to be able to give them a pass. Well, hey, I'm super militant. If we ain't going to be out here in the streets busting on them, then we just need to be quiet about white supremacy. No, everything doesn't need to be handled in the streets. White supremacy needs to be handled between your ears. And he's like, well, I can overlook what they're saying here because you see, I'm about that business. You're not even about the business of acknowledging that somebody's insulting you. Sir, like I say, stay on the line. We're going to see if we can get your mail-in information here so we can get your banjo and your complimentary harmonica to you. I wouldn't want you to be without that. Right. I don't know if they are sandblasting around here or whatever. I don't know what in the hell they are doing. But in any case, let me get a caller from area code 281. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Jared from Houston, Texas.
Jared from Houston, Texas. What's on your mind?
What's going on, JJ? Man, I want to commend you for it was a great show tonight, man. But I was going to call you yesterday because you were calling out the Joe Biden butt kissers and all that shit. And unfortunately, I was one of the people that voted for him.
Why?
All right, let me explain my situation. Well, not situation, but I was heavily on that People of Color coalition and shit, listening to mainly CNN and Roland Martin, like nonstop when it came to politics. That's the only thing I followed and listened to. So I think the thing that woke me up was you did a video where Roland Martin and Ice Cube was going back and forth. And I said, hold up, man, this guy is making a lot of sense. And I was just like analyzing the video and everything. And I'm like, well, Ice Cube is really speaking to the black people needs, that we need resources and everything. And Roland Martin was pretty much just shutting him down the whole time. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, you know, because as Ice Cube said himself, we're black people and not people of color. And it really spoke to me. And as you were breaking it down and addressing it, Roland was shutting him down the whole time. And, you know, I was like, what am I voting for? Like, I voted for Biden because I thought, like, you know, I was on the, you know, this Democratic plantation, as you could say.
Okay, let me find out here. How old are you?
29.
Okay, and did you call in yesterday?
No, I did not call in yesterday.
Okay, just wanted to make sure here. You're 29 years old. And what did your parents tell you about Biden?
Absolutely nothing. They don't vote.
So your parents don't vote at all?
No, sir.
So parents don't vote at all, and somehow you thought Biden was a good idea, and you're saying that that was a product of being influenced by Roland Martin?
Roland Martin. I mean, pretty much I was biting into the whole People of Color coalition shit, if I'm being straight honest.
Well, I want everybody to understand here, like I say, this is an ongoing educational effort. For those of you who have been following me now for a decade, you got to understand this guy's 29 years old. He would have been 19 in 2012. For those of you who don't know, 2012, that was Trayvon Martin. Obama had already been in office for 4 years. So y'all time is slipping into the future. Even for those of you who've been with me for a while here, y'all might have been in your 20s back then. Time is slipping into the future. So just understand, It's been a decade since Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown. It's already been a decade. It's been 14 years since Obama first came to office. So just be aware, people, this is going to have to be an ongoing educational effort. It'll have to be an ongoing educational effort. In his case here on the phone, he would have been, 15 years old when Obama first came into office. So I'm not sure what his political consciousness would have been. Now, when I was a little kid, I was aware of everything from Jimmy Carter to Ronald Reagan.
Oh, I wasn't aware of anything.
Right. What I'm saying is that, you know,
Like,
I came from a family where that was the kind of thing that we focused on and whatnot. So we tend to be a wonky bunch in that regard. But then again, most people, their kids are not 4 and 5 years old, you know, watching Ronald Reagan on TV and the State of the Union and things like that. I grew up on that. Most people, the majority of the population, don't. Maybe that's for the best. I'm not sure. But what I will say is that this is an ongoing effort. We cannot just simply assume that because we all witnessed Joe Biden and Bill Clinton in 3 strikes, that everybody's on the same page and everybody is aware. A bunch of these folks, their parents aren't telling them, either because they don't want them to know or because they just pulled for the Democrat on the candidate on the ballot and didn't ask any questions. So we have an ongoing educational effort that needs to happen here. Because, like, for example, are you aware of what 3 strikes was?
No.
I want you all to think about
I am
that.
aware now that Joe Biden wrote some crime bills that locked up a lot of African Americans, and also that he was a forced segregation back in the 70s, which I didn't know about either because I didn't look into Joe Biden's history before I voted for him.
What year were you born in?
93.
Now I want you all to think about this. He was born just 24 months before the crime bill was passed. 24 months. He was learning to sing along with Bert and Ernie when the crime bill was passed.
Calm down.
Think about that for a few moments. He was just a toddler. I want you all to understand how much distance there is between my audience and those who are just coming into this. We cannot assume that they all know. We can't assume that just because they're adults and they're over the age of 20 or even over the age of 30. Think about that for a few moments. Now, I was in high school when 3 strikes came into being. And being in Louisiana, let me tell you right now, the white teachers made it clear to us that they were like, oh, this is going to be a game changer. The white teachers and the white faculty. And remember, this was right after Rodney King. Rodney King happens. Next thing you know, bam, 3 strikes. Your Gulf War. Think about that for a few moments here. So what these people do is they make it very clear that they know what in the world they're doing there. They know what in the world they're doing. These things happen one after the other. There's a reason for that. So I lived those events. And a lot of the folk listening to me live these events, but there's a lot of you who are just now listening to us as your media apparatus. And if they get to Roland Martin first, Roland's not going to say anything about any of this. So they don't have to outsource this to CNN to brainwash the next generation. They got Roland Martin out there to do it. And your Black News channel, which is a farce. And we can go down the list. So if we don't sit here and debrief them and go over the information and let them know, then they're just going to be completely clueless about it. Which is why for a lot of y'all, you think it's remedial what we put out here and whatnot. There's a reason why the Hidden Colors series has been as big as it is and whatnot. Some people are like, it's Black history for beginners. Well, yeah, because a lot of Black folks simply don't know. And there are a lot of us who might be a little bit older. And it's like, well, everybody should know that. Yeah, but they don't. And now they're sanitizing the history books altogether. So some of this stuff that people just assume is basic, they don't even know. And now even more recent history. And like I said, I was in high school and you were a toddler. And now here you are coming to me as a grown-ass man about to turn 30 years old. And he's like, 3 strikes. They're playing baseball in the Senate? Oh, no. They called it 3 strikes. And it was a big joke, but it wasn't funny what they were going to do. And then when you hear about the way in which it was implemented, because like I say, if you don't know the ins and outs of it, what they'll tell you is, oh, Bill Clinton hiding behind today. Well, we didn't increase the federal prison population. No, what you did was you funded the states and told them that if they mimic if every state that mimics the 3 strikes law and follows its guidelines would get federal money. And that was how you had to spread to the states. So you're right. The feds didn't increase the prison population at the federal level. They paid the states to do it. So most of 3 strikes was implemented by the states, and that's where they passed it off. And he thought he was going to get political cover for it 2 decades later. And the new Black media shut that down. But by this point here, the damage is done. Now, there's the other problem. Yeah, we could stop Hillary from getting the White House. But, man, we got brothers in prison right now for marijuana doing football numbers. And young fellas like yourself, 29 years old and completely oblivious to it. So when I start talking about Joe Biden and busing, you might not even know what busing is. So that's why we have to just say, well, he was a segregationist. It's like, okay, maybe you figure out what that one means. But when we just say busing, well, how do we know he's a segregationist? Because of his position on busing. So we know that. And then you add to it the crime bills. And then you add to it, other behaviors, and then you start seeing a pattern there. But most of us know it because we watched it and lived it. You didn't even watch it and live it. You're finding out retroactively. And if you all want to know why it is that I make it a consistent effort to bang on Roland Martin and to bang on the old Black media and to bang on them on a consistent basis, it's because young fellas like this are coming up and they're being misled, deliberately misled by these entities. Roland Martin is if you're not aware, Roland Martin was a failure. He's been a failure everywhere he's been. He's run newspapers into the ground. He had a gig with CNN and then lost that. And he's been trying to get back on network TV ever since. He spent the better part of the last decade trying to get a network TV gig. And so if you're watching him on YouTube, you don't understand that that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be back on network TV. And he's desperate to get there. And he will say or do anything that the Democrat Party wants him to because he's desperate for them to give him the call to let him come back. So when you see him omitting this information about Joe Biden, understand that's not because he's forgotten something. It's because he's been told, look here, your job is to deliver the black vote. So the old folks who are already on board and the young folks who don't know any better, your job is to sell all of them down the river. And that's the way that happens. So I'm not going to necessarily blame you for your ignorance, but now, in the words of Louis Farrakhan, now that you have understanding, you are responsible for your understanding. So going forward, you are going to have to toe the hard line going forward.
Absolutely, man. Hey, man, and once again, man, appreciate you what you do, man.
Well, one more thing.
Tariq, man.
In the 21st century, ignorance is not a condition. Ignorance is a choice. So it is one thing to say, I didn't know these things because Roland Martin XYZ. Dude, you got Google. If we had Google when we were in high school, the world would be a whole different place today. You got Google. Ignorance is not a condition, it's a choice. There isn't anything you need to know about Joe Biden that you can't find out in 5 minutes and be the smartest person in the room about him. So don't just sit here and be like, oh, I didn't know this, but I heard you say something one Sunday and whatnot. No, don't let it stop there. You need to continue doing that because your parents might have been perfectly comfortable being politically ignorant. You can't afford to be. You cannot afford to be. Joe Biden is giving reparations to gays, illegals, and everybody else. And for black folk, they hand out crack pipes. We can't afford, your generation in particular cannot afford to be ignorant on any level.
Right. But like, I want to throw this in because, you know, when it comes to politics, I actually didn't get involved into politics until this last political cycle where I voting for Joe Biden and the Democrats was my first time voting. Literally.
Well, like I say, that's your inaugural voyage, but from going forward here, now that you had your eyes opened a little bit, you need to take the initiative to make sure you get all the information that you can to make sure that you got all of the data that you can have and all the facts, because they are going to continue trying to confuse you. It's not over yet. And the next person isn't going to be Biden. It's going to be Kamala Harris or somebody else. And you're going to need to be able to skip trace and track down the facts about these things so that you're not confused. Find out where they came from so you can see, okay, I see a pattern forming. Because now that you know who you can't trust, you need to know what you can trust. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a call from Area Code 757. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Renee from San Diego.
Renee from San Diego, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so a quick question. So I remember a while back you had stated, and I'm paraphrasing, where you were saying if Black Americans wasn't careful, we was going to find ourselves in the field, and Hispanics was going to be in the political positions or powerful positions. So my question is, with DeSantis, do you think that this uprising with him, do you think that this is a way for the white supremacists to roll out the red carpet for him to get this political position or proper position and like kind of make a big foundation for Hispanics?
Yes. Long story short, is yes. And the method by which it will be used is just understand. Florida, I go there, infrequently, but I've seen enough. And the further south you go, the more white supremacist it gets. It gets less Anglo, but it gets more white supremacist. The further south you go. So they make it very clear they're on board. So the thing that we need to understand is that's what I was saying. When you take a look at the blue check marks that were co-signing Joe Rogan, you see that right-wing coalition that they're trying to put together. Because they always been talking about this left-wing coalition, the minority coalition. The right-wingers are trying to put together their own. And ironically enough, it will be composed of immigrants, gays, some black folk who are descendants of slaves, so on and so forth, ironically enough. But we can't really, don't be deceived to just focus primarily on, Latinos. And in your case, what you're saying is, non-Afro Latinos. Don't white Hispanics. Don't be deceived into focusing on that solely, okay? Because we're actually dealing with a number of different things. Please understand, you're dealing with a number of different things. Politically, it's something to keep in mind, don't get me wrong. And if you live in the state of Florida, you should certainly be on guard against that, because what you're witnessing here now is you have a number of, Latino, police chiefs and whatnot who talk just like the white ones. So you're starting to notice there's there's not very much of a degree of separation between the two. Recognize an ideology. Now, that's the real thing you need to understand. Recognize an ideology. They are not betting the farm that they can get Hispanics on board. Please understand that. That is not what they're betting on. They are betting the farm that they can make white supremacy a palatable ideology for non-Anglos. That's the point you need to take home. Now, while the white Latinos have led the charge, to understand they might be the biggest ones there, but they're not the only ones there. So just understand what's really going on. So that's why I took you to Joe Rogan's Instagram page so you all could see. By the way, do you see the sheer number of individuals who are co-signing what he said there so that you could see who it was? They were male, they were female, they were white, they were black, they were immigrant black folk, they were native-born black people, they were LGBT, they were heterosexual. And I'm telling you, as diabolical as it seems, Dr. John Henry Clark talked about the evil genius of Europe. Here it is. Here it is. Going into the 21st century, you saw that guy who was on the phone here earlier. Well, we got bigger things to worry about, right? Such as, vaccines. So now, to keep this in mind, now the bootlicking old black folks will tell you that they voted for Biden because we had bigger issues than Biden's racism. We had to worry about vaccines, and everybody needs to get one. This guy called you up and said, I wouldn't vote for Biden, but I support Joe Rogan. Well, why? Because of his stance against vaccines. So that's why I'm overlooking his white supremacy. So on the one hand, Joe Rogan can get a pass because there's this smoke screen of vaccines, and it doesn't really matter what it is. That's just basically a way of saying, look, his white supremacy don't bother me. There's bigger issues than white supremacy, which is what scared niggas always talk about. So he's gonna give Joe Rogan a pass for white supremacy because there's bigger issues. And then you got somebody else sitting up here telling you that they're going to go ahead and give Biden a pass because, his white supremacy, there's bigger issues. You start to notice a pattern. And that's what I want you to see. So in addition to everything else, we need to be more sophisticated about how we see it. It's not just the issue of, there's a state that has a lot of Latinos in it, a lot of Hispanics in it. Look for places that are sowing the seeds of accepting white supremacy's ideology. And everywhere is. But that's what you need to be looking for. That's what you need to be fighting against. And because you can't fight it in just one place, because it's not just one place or one group that's carrying the banner. You need to attack the banner. Don't attack the groups holding it. You need to attack the banner. And that doesn't mean you don't identify the groups holding it. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean you don't identify the groups holding it, but you need to attack that banner. Whoever is holding it, that's who you know, that's what you need to take in context of. Who's holding it? Once you see that banner and you see who's holding it, you realize, well, damn, we're entering a new phase where anybody can be holding that banner now, including black folk. That's the frightening phase that we're entering. Anybody can hold that banner now. If we have enough celebrity to it, anybody can hold it. Because remember, when you saw Kanye West on the Trump Tower and whatnot, and you had a couple of former football players running around with Trump and whatnot, that was the start of it. Now you're entering the next phase, which is, let's get an even bigger celebrity this time. Let's get a bigger one. And take a look at how many young black folk, take a look at Mike Rashid here talking about, man, it's just a word. You my guy, I wanted to say, LOL, F that word. It's just a word. Yeah. By the way, these dudes who have a penchant for chasing non-black females, that's what I'm saying. This echo chamber gets a whole lot bigger in these regards. And then their audiences, Joe Rogan might not be able to convince the young black men on YouTube to give white supremacy a pass. Because let me tell you, nigger is not a word. Nigger in the mouth of a white man is a weapon. Let me say this again.
Wow.
Nigger is not a word. Nigger in the mouth of a white man is a weapon. Nigger in the mouth of a white woman is a weapon. That word got Emmett Till killed, and his killers walking the street today. But if Joe Rogan is not qualified to be able to make that rationale or get a pass, then you can recruit some Negroes to do it for you. You can use them as your smokescreen. So I want you to see how sophisticated it's getting now. So just understand that. Start thinking of it in those terms and start attacking it in that way. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 832. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Jason. Hello?
Yes, you're on live.
Hello. Hi, Jason. This is Lynn from Texas.
Lynn from where at in Texas?
Houston, Texas, Jason.
Lynn from Houston, Texas. And what is on your mind?
Yes. Well, what is on my mind? Let's see here. I don't like the way the callers were calling in from Houston, Texas. They really, really, really made me embarrassed. I was really embarrassed the way that they were talking. They weren't talking like they were educated people or they were talking like Joe Rogan really helped them out or gave them a check. But maybe reparations. I'll say reparations. Joe gave them reparations. I don't understand what's wrong with them. What's wrong with my black people? Why are they acting in the way that they're acting?
Because in the modern era, they have cultivated individuals to be fanboys, and what they see on their cell phones is more real than what they see outside of their windows. So when you've got somebody in that state of mind, you can basically do anything to them because they are in complete denial of reality. They've had a break from reality. What happens on their cell phone, what happens on Instagram and TikTok is more pertinent than what's happening in the real world, as evidenced by the guy earlier there. He was in the military, and what he sees on Joe Rogan's program is more important to him than what he experiences on a daily basis. So that's how they got him where they are. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a call from here, code 321. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Ray from Titusville, Florida.
Ray from Titusville, what's on your mind?
Yeah, look, man, I've been listening to you for a long time, and I gotta say, I can't wait till the Russians drop the nukes on everybody, because I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying that. I was watching your show about the economical differences between the races. And I didn't know it was that bad. When he was talking about the what was that we was, that black folk was only averaging, $50K and like that. And, I came from a finance major or a finance background. And I know that for a fact that the average income actually is like 100,000. So when I saw black folks only getting an average of 50,000, I was like, Jesus.
Well, it's actually a bit less than that, depending on, it's actually a bit less than that. But thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get call from area code 419. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is Joe calling out of Toledo.
Joe from Toledo, what's on your mind?
As I always say, you keep it 100, bro. Your insight to multiple topics is always on point, especially political relationships, but especially this topic today. But I just want to ask one question, if you don't mind. Which you sort of might have explained it, but why didn't the mainstream audience called him out years ago.
Because they're on board.
And
I mean, there's a reason why they call it your audience. I mean, they're not on the internet today. They don't just call it an audience; they call it a following. How many followers do you have? On Instagram, it's literally called followers. So they've been conditioned to be followers. And the real thing is, you know, you've heard a couple of callers give a white daddy syndrome explanation to it. And what they're telling you, I've been listening to Joe for years and years now. I've been doing my program here online almost as long as Joe's been doing his. And yet take a look at the difference in how they treat it. So, like I say, basically, brother, they've been indoctrinated. They've been indoctrinated. And they said what they meant. White supremacy doesn't bother them. Well, you know, it bothers me. But for them, they're willing to give that a pass. They're willing to give white supremacy a pass. And that was what they kept saying. It ain't that big of an issue. What about vaccines? What they're really saying is white supremacy doesn't bother them. And even when I gave that guy example after example, he was like, well, let me put it in context. And the context was, well, it really don't bother me. What about vaccines? So in his mind, he's fighting a vaccine battle, in which case he sees him, it's like feminism. He sees himself more closely aligned with the dominant society. So he's willing to put his own personal interests set subordinate to this contrived global interest that they put in front of him. So that's basically where they are right now. He's been divorced from an Afrocentric perspective or even a self-centric perspective, and he's instead married to something else. This is what happens when you live a world through your cell phones. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a call from area code 701. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Lorraine calling from Fargo, North Dakota.
All right, Valet from Fargo, what's on your mind?
Oh, I was just calling because just wanted to tell you thank you for everything that you've done. I know the young man that had called in not long ago, a few calls back, and he had mentioned, you know, his age, and you were making mention of how there's a lot of young kids that don't know about a lot of the things that are going on as far as politics and just the way that the world runs and the way white supremacy affects us. And living in North Dakota, I just want to tell you that you have helped me be able to continue, you know, educating my children, my family, you know, with that information that you make available every week. It was very difficult when I first moved here because from moving from Kansas City, Topeka area, and then here, I realized really how white supremacy worked. And it was very frustrating at first. And I ended up finding your YouTube probably 2 years after moving here. And like I said, it just has helped me be able to teach them how to navigate in this world. And so I thank you for all that you do, all the education that you put down. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 856. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, good evening. This is Anna calling from Mount Holly.
Anna from Mount Holly, where?
Oh, I'm sorry, New Jersey.
Anna from Mount Holly, New Jersey. What's on your mind?
Yes. So wonderful broadcast as always. It's funny because with everything that's going on right now and all the support backing Joe Rogan, this sets a very dangerous precedent. Case in point, had Whoopi Goldberg had said the K word, for example, in context
in any context whatsoever.
They would have jumped down her throat.
Oh no, she'd be gone.
Crack her behind.
Oh no, she'd be gone. She would have been gone that day. She would have been escorted off the Disney lot or ABC. She would have been gone that day. We wouldn't even be. We'd be talking about how she would be on the internet somewhere on somebody's podcast, crying and boohooing and trying to explain away how she loves Jewish people. She would have been gone that day. There wouldn't have been an uproar. There wouldn't have been a suspension. She would have been gone right then, right there, that day. ABC would have had the damn press release up announcing her firing before she was ever off the lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the problem with that is, you know, it's just so increasingly crazy, but so real, where we keep seeing issues where we have people who are white or Caribbean or of any other, group that are not foundational Black Americans who sit back and say, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, it's just a word. Oh, stop being a victim. Get out of the victimhood mentality. Take yourself and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But I'm just like, what I see happening is this is warming people up to where if we say anything, whether it's somebody getting killed, someone calling us the N-word, somebody sitting over here perpetrating a hate crime in any form or fashion towards us, it'll be the best example I can give you is a person with kids. They hear the kids crying and they can understand, okay, this is not an emergency. Where it's like it hits their earwaves, but they don't process it. And now we're just in the back of the back, still screaming and yelling and fighting for the issues and the things that keep on happening towards us. And to be quite honest with you, Jason, and everyone else who's listening, I'm just ready for the really big incident that needs to take place to make all of this stop.
Well, I mean,
I'm just ready for it.
The really big incidents have already happened. The real question is what do people do about it? Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I'm going to take one more call here. Let me get caller from area code 920. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Anthony. I'm calling from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Anthony from Green Bay. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just calling, man, because I had my rough upbringing, man, and I pretty much just want to know what I could tell my kids to get them on the right path, because I feel like it's probably a little too late for me, man, but I want to, get them right for the future of the Black community. So
first of all, you tell them that they live in the system of white supremacy, and that what they see in the schools and everything else will not help them, and you can't help them if you're not educated about these things yourself. So if you cannot explain and deconstruct white supremacy, then you're otherwise useless to them.
No, I can't explain it, but
okay, they're your children. They're your children, and they will follow your example, not your advice. So if dad is clueless about white supremacy and cannot explain it or deconstruct it, then his children will be even more clueless and will be less capable of explaining it or deconstructing it. So it starts with you. Your leadership, or lack thereof, is going to set the tone for how they turn out. There's no getting around that.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, my kids, they have Laotian, and so, I mean, I don't want to, like, traumatize them or nothing, man, because I've been traumatized from it, so.
Okay, well, explaining white supremacy to them is not going to traumatize them. Dangling them off of a 12-story building might traumatize them. Explaining white supremacy to them is not going to traumatize them. So, no. What dad does or what dad fails to do is going to be the single biggest factor in whether or not they are growing up properly balanced and able to fight white supremacy, or whether they're walking around here clueless trying to figure out what it is and how it works. So the responsibility falls on you. You are the man, you are the male, your biological prerogative is as protector and provider. First and foremost, you're supposed to teach the children how to be warriors. That falls to you. That falls on your shoulders. So if you are not the most capable person to even explain this to them, then they're helpless.
I can explain. I mean, that's all I need to hear. Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. There's no way to get around that. You're going to have to take responsibility for that on your own. They are your children. They're your progeny. Your job is to make sure they are aware of this. I've been warning people for the longest time. I can see how it's coming together here. I can see how it's coming together, and it is obvious what they are doing. I warned people a decade ago, white supremacy for the next 500 years, and people wondered how it could happen. It'll happen sitting right in front of your faces, and you will have a lot of Black folk who are going to be sitting there defending it and telling you ain't no big issue about it. I'm warning you all in advance because knowing about it is the only way you can be prepared to do something about it. If you're new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, over 134,000 subscribers and rising. We are not a little things. So click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell, join us every weekend. And if you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD, on streaming, on Amazon at blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program, either by PayPal or Cash App. Andrew L. and everybody else, thank you very much for your support here tonight. We definitely do appreciate that. And I'd like to thank all of you for joining us here, liking the program, and sharing it. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is white, not going to be white supremacy.